So about 5 years ago, I, 27, have been make love buddies for a couple of months with a young woman, 26, during exchange semesters. We mutually agreed that while we liked each other, we didn't love each other and we were not going into a relationship but would rather be having some fun together, and that's it. Well, despite both of us using protection, her the pill, me rubbers, she somehow got pregnant. I didn't want the kid, but she did. I argued none of us was in a financially stable position, we were not in a relationship, I can't see us both co-parenting, since we're from different continents, etc. She said she does understand and all those are good arguments, but she simply does want to keep the kid and that's it. We argued back and forth for a while, but in the end, it's her decision and she kept the child. We were never fighting, never yelling, just arguing. She eventually told me that I am free to walk away if I want to, she'll raise the kid alone, and she won't ever ask me for anything. I still didn't like the idea and would have preferred abortion, but I won't be the one ultimately deciding. So I walked away. The semester was soon to be over anyways, and I moved back to my home country thousands of kilometers away. We never heard from each other again. That is, up until a few weeks ago, when I received a couple of text messages from her about how both her and the boy are doing well along with some photos of them. I replied that it's nice to hear they are both well and healthy, but also, after some chit-chat, that I am perfectly fine with staying out of their lives and would like to keep it that way. That's when she started to mention some financial problems she's having and that it would be great if I'd start to chip in with the expenses for the boy. I declined and reminded her of how she said 5 years ago she'd never ask me for anything. She was not happy with my reply and kept pushing me. Now I checked with a lawyer and, since we were never married, I never recognized paternity and we live in two different countries with very different jurisdiction, the chance of her successfully going after me financially is very low. So I decided to completely stay out of my kids and his mother's life and to also not contribute financially. 5 years ago she did take a unilateral decision, dismissing my standpoint and gave me a very unambiguous promise that I am free to walk out of their life and she'd never ask me for anything. I'm asking her now and forever to be true to her word. Now there will be people who say it doesn't matter what she said, you are always responsible for the life you created. Well, I agree, but I think it's ultimately her who created that life, so it's her who's responsible. But I do also understand that this is a quite controversial topic. So, am I the idiot? I think you are the idiot, but not to the woman, to the child. Yes, you had an agreement with the mother, but you never had an agreement with the kid, obviously. You created that child whether you wanted to or not. That kid is entitled to know who his parents are, so don't be surprised if he wants to meet you later. You should be ensuring that the child you helped create is looked after, particularly if there are now concerns about the financial situation. From my perspective, it's not about your agreement with the mother, it's about your kid having the things he needs. Not the idiot. If a woman is allowed to decide to end a pregnancy against the wishes of her partner, that partner is also allowed to decide to be uninvolved with a child against her wishes. Would it be nice if you helped? Yes. Would it be the right thing to do? Yes. You guys took the risk by making love, and you bear 50% of the responsibility for this pregnancy. Are you allowed to say no? Also yes, and I don't think doing so now makes you are an idiot, because it was agreed in the beginning that you weren't going to be involved. Not the idiot. She knew what her choice would be: abortion, put the kid up for adoption, or raise the child herself with 0% input from the biological father, you, and she had suggested first. And I think the key point here was that it was her idea to begin with. This was something you had agreed on together. I don't think it's fair that she goes back on her word and asks for financial help years later, especially when that seems to be her only intention is contacting you again. I was given up for adoption right after I was born. Unfortunately, my adoption didn't work out and I grew up in foster care until I turned 18. I'm now 19 and in college. In February, I got a Facebook message from a man claiming to be my father. We messaged back and forth, and while I kept a lot of my childhood details private, we did make plans to meet him and my mother. They weren't married to each other, by the way. When I got to the restaurant, I was very shocked and honestly upset to find my father and mother had brought their spouses, as well as their children, to surprise me. My father's mother, so my grandmother, was also there. I was already feeling very emotional about the whole thing and seeing everyone there didn't help. So I sat through an hour of listening to them sharing all about their lives while I fake smiled through everything. Honestly, I felt very jealous that they had kids they really loved and how they all had really happy lives after ditching me. Then they started asking about me and my parents and how my Facebook gave very little away about my life. I basically lost it and started crying like a little girl and told them how crappy my adoptive parents were and how crappy foster life was. I was pretty snarky and sarcastic when I said that I'm glad their lives worked out for them because mine sure as hell didn't. I couldn't stop crying and my father had to drop me back home. He was very apologetic. I feel very crappy about it. I made my mother and father cry at the restaurant. They were really nice people. I got a few messages from my mother and father separately where they've been apologizing and if they could make it up to me. My mother in particular seems really upset by everything and I hate that I may have messed up her happy life. Her last message basically said that she's been unable to sleep and wants to see me again. I've been ignoring their messages and just been focusing on school instead. Am I the idiot? Maybe I should have been more honest before the meetup. Not the idiot. It's possible that there are no idiots here, but even very nice people that are so stupidly unaware of how blitzing you with a bio family you never knew might backfire absolutely deserve to be made uncomfortable. If you want to try again under better controlled circumstances, maybe one parent at a time, great. If you don't, great. You are under no obligation to make them feel comfortable with the choices that they've made. I second what others have said here, please make sure to take care of yourself and find support. Not the idiot. You were ambushed. They created a cozy world for you on their head, assuming that trying to give you a better life by giving you up as a baby, you had a Hallmark movie's life. It never occurred to them that it would be otherwise. The meeting was to assuage their guilt and not really about you. Don't feel guilty. If they had the sensitivity of a brick they would have met you one-on-one or two-on-one and found out about your life before talking about their great family and flaunting it before you. No idiots here. Your parents gave you up for whatever reasons and hoped you would be okay, they probably didn't envisage a world where you wouldn't be adopted. You've had a crap time growing up, none of which is your fault. Maybe you shouldn't have yelled at them in a restaurant, but the truth would have some about eventually, and they presented you with a massive family you didn't know about and overwhelmed you. I recommend counseling and lots of it for all of you if you intend to further your communication with your birth family. I worked at a craft store through college and for a few years after, and over the years I've grown quite the collection of items. I do a mix of things like sewing, painting, knitting, etc. My sister has always acted like anything anyone in the family owns is community property and she'll just up and start using someone's things, eat their food, etc. without asking first. I've always disliked this behavior and she knows but ignores it. This extends to her kids, my nieces. Well, they're great kids, I don't really enjoy spending a lot of time with them these days. They're very loud and shrieky, giggle fits and yelling and dancing and singing all the time. Which is totally, completely, absolutely normal and they should continue to do all of the above at their own house. Well, my sister has become obsessed with the idea that I'm going to pass on a lot of my crafting things to the girls and teach them all the crafts I know. I've already told her that if she wants me to teach them anything, they have to be a little older and more mature and she'll need to buy the supplies. She keeps saying they can just use yours despite me saying no, they can't, over and over again. It came to a head when she sent them to me for a weekend so she could work. She told them when they got here that I was going to spend the weekend teaching them how to sew. I had to explain to two little girls who were all excited that no, we weren't going to do that. Sister and I got into a huge fight about it and she kept calling me selfish and saying that she doesn't understand what the big deal is and why I can't share with my nieces. I told her that she needs to get over the idea that but its family is a valid excuse to act entitled to everyone's property. She just kept telling me I'm self-obsessed and mean. Am I the idiot? Do I owe my nieces my supplies and time and energy just because we're related? As a crafter with a drawer full of glitter, whereas I only use like 3 of them, I would agree on not the idiot. I wouldn't even trust my oldest niece to not make a mess of themselves or my house with it. And she's 13 so, I imagine these kids are younger than that. Their mom isn't footing the bill, and they are your supplies so no, you're not obligated to share regardless of how you feel about them. I spoil my nieces and nephews when I can, but still wouldn't share my crafting supplies with them, they get the cheap crap, not my high quality crap. Not the idiot. As a crafter, it's really hard when family doesn't understand that supplies are expensive and constantly being asked make this for me. Teach me how. Is exhausting. Even when they offer to pay you, they usually get appalled at the pricing or worse, they constantly badger you about getting it done, and it takes all the fun out of it. I legit don't even post what I make on my own page anymore, because every time I do, instead of compliments I just get make me one. No please, no, thank you. Just demands. Not the idiot. No, a family like that, to them, possessions are not that important, so when their kids went to other people's houses, they felt that they could just grab whatever they wanted. Made their daughter pretty upset when my daughter would not let her dig through my craft supplies during a sleepover. My daughter put her foot down because a couple years earlier those kids had grabbed my good fabric scissors, took them outside to cut leaves, and left them outside. It snowed. Cost me a ton to get them resharpened. A few weeks ago, I, 26, went to Portland, Maine with my boyfriend. I had never been and only lived 2 hours away, so he thought it'd be a nice weekend trip for us. We had a great time exploring the city, eating out, and what's important to this story, visiting the lighthouses. While there, I posted on my Instagram a photo he snapped of me in front of one of the lighthouses he took me to. Now, for the past few months, I've been helping my friend 26 seconds boyfriend, 28, get ready to propose. Usual friends duties like sending him style she expressed interest in, finding her ring size, proposal plans, etc. After he got the ring, he told me that he came up with a plan to propose during their yearly trip to Maine by renting an Airbnb and proposing in the room so she wouldn't be the center of attention, which would be happening in a month or so. I told him that sounds great. So, fast forward and they go to Portland, Maine this past week, and he proposes to her in front of the same lighthouse I had posted a picture at in the weeks prior. Super happy for them, I send my congratulations to both, and that's when things start to get weird. I hadn't heard back from them after sending a couple texts and trying to call, which I thought was weird having helped plan this, but figured they were newly engaged and enjoying this moment. It's now 2 days after, still, no word from either, and then I finally received a text message from him saying, "Hey, thanks for the congratulations and help with the ring. However, I'm bummed you went to the lighthouse weeks before and posted a picture at it. Intentional or not, it took away from something special I had planned and told you about." To say I was confused is an understatement. I responded with a question mark, and he explained that by me going to the spot he was proposing at weeks before and posting a picture there, he felt betrayed and I ruined their special moment. In addition to his message, I reached out to my friend to ask what was going on and why I was also now blocked on Instagram, to which she responded completely berating me, swearing at me, telling me I ruined her proposal and made her and her fiancé feel betrayed, embarrassed and screwed over. She told me the first words out of his mouth after he proposed were that this was supposed to be special, and I took that away from them. They're demanding me that I apologize and told me that I'm banned from their future wedding. I responded to this with my thoughts that a social media post from weeks ago shouldn't have any influence on their proposal and that an apology is not in the cards. I did not argue nor did I feel the need to because I don't think I did anything wrong. I even sent back the screenshot of the original proposal plan he sent me saying he was getting an Airbnb and proposing in the room. So, am I the idiot for going to Portland and posting a picture there before he proposed? So he's gaslighting you and his fiancé. When you sent the screenshot of the original proposal plan, did you send it to her or only to him? Because I think he knows he's gaslighting everybody unless he has some mental issues. Anywho, this all sounds like bad news to me. Save the screenshot indefinitely in case they try to use his story against you in the future. As for them blocking you, now you know that he's a snake. If she saw the original proposal plan and she's still sticking with him, then that just shows she likes snakes. Not the idiot. Your friend seemed to have trouble understanding how time works. How can a post in the past ruin a moment in the present? Even if he had secret plans to propose in front of that exact same lighthouse, he could have changed his plans. Or, you know what, actually I think your post gave him the idea to propose there. He might have been afraid that his girlfriend thinks he's a copycat, so he twisted it for her and blamed you for stealing the place retrospectively. Either way, that's totally screwed up and he acts pretty crazy. Not the idiot. Are you serious? Oh my god. If you do talk to them again and they insist on this absolute stupidity, tell them that 1. The plan you knew of and helped with involved a BNB and proposal in their room, so even if he did change his mind, you didn't even know, and 2. Tell them they're behaving like immature idiots. Do they even hear themselves? Tell them to grow up and get over themselves. They don't own the spot, and if something so little could ruin this for them, then I'm sorry for their fragile egos and frail relationship. I got married last fall. Where I live, fall means the trees are changing colors. So the wedding pictures are to die for. We didn't have a huge budget, so a friend of mine asked her friend if she could do it for me. I had seen some of her work, and she is really talented, plus she is a total sweetheart. The only thing is, for what she charges, and since it's more of a hobby, you'll get your pictures when you'll get them. Well, I got them. And now I need to know if what I'm about to do falls in idiot territory. A few days after my wedding, my friend announced to me that she was engaged. I was ecstatic and wanted to know everything. Turns out she got engaged at my wedding. My brain gets out of its vegetative state, and I remember her table being way too excited at some point, but I blamed drinks. I wasn't thrilled about it, realizing then that she had basically not only gotten engaged at my wedding, but instead of hiding it and announcing it later, she announced it to our friends during the party. It was a tough pill to swallow, but I figured, whatever, it's not like I even realized what was happening. We did have a discussion about it, and she didn't seem to understand why I was upset until I put it into perspective for her, asking her how she would feel if I made a big announcement at her wedding, taking the attention away from her big moment. In my friends' minds, it's no longer the day I got married, it's now also the day she got engaged. On my dime. We eventually turned the page and I thought it was over. Well, I've sort of been friends with my photographer since the wedding because of common interests. At some point, she point-blank told me that now that we are closer, she feels comfortable asking me what to do with my friend's pictures because it makes her really uncomfortable. During the evening, the wedding party took a break to go change, and during that time my photographer was taking pictures of foliage in the venue. My friend apparently asked her to take pictures of her and her boyfriend. She didn't really see a problem since we weren't back yet and they were guests. That's until she realized they were engagement pictures. Some poses just don't leave place to interpretation. So, when she asked me what to do, accidents happen, I told her to just put them in a separate folder. Ever since, I've been thinking, what am I gonna do with that folder? My friend has been asking about my wedding pictures periodically, but haven't asked about her pictures specifically. It was easy when I didn't have them, but now I do. I've had them since April and I know she will eventually come out of hiding now that COVID restrictions are loosened. I want to delete the folder since they are my property anyway. But I don't want to be a major idiot either. Before you say it, I do realize I haven't forgiven her at all like I initially thought. Oh wow. Not the idiot. You would be well within your rights. Announcing an engagement at someone's wedding is awful. But Elle would have been okay to let it go, like you. She might not have known a proposal was coming and they didn't announce it to the room at large. Your initial response to her was good. But the photographer thing is absolutely unacceptable. I think I'd keep her hanging. Let her see the photos you've chosen of your special day. Never mention hers. Not the idiot. She cheated you out of money. Be it hundreds or thousands of dollars. Wedding photos cost money, engagement photos cost money. Moreover, she knew what she was doing when asked the photographers to take those photos. My suggestion is, never mention them and act like you have no idea what she is talking about. Ask your photographer how much she changes for an engagement shoot. Then tell friend if she wants those pics she needs to pay you for them. I think if you delete them, then everyone's the idiot here. Her and her partner shouldn't have used your wedding for their engagement. That's a bad move. But deleting the photos would also be a bad move because you're doing it to hurt her spider. You have the right to be angry, and I'm angry on your behalf, but it would still be in idiot territory. In saying that, I'm really bloody petty, so I'd charge her for the photos if she wants them. If she doesn't want to pay, then I'd just keep them and never release them.